The developments of the last 24 hours have certainly been extremely fascinating to watch, and it's all regarding this state environmental planning policy. Firstly, can you take us through why the policy exists?
Well, koalas are in trouble. They have been in New South Wales and Eastern Australia for decades now, and even more so now. The best science shows that they're headed towards extinction well before 2030, particularly, 2050 in Eastern Australia, particularly with fires and droughts driven by climate change. So it's important we protect their habitat. The trouble is often farmers and koalas like the same trees. They like good soils, well watered, where they're good for cropping and cattle, and koalas and lots of other wildlife. So there's competition for the same trees. Part of the issue is that this koala planning policy addresses a relatively smaller part of New South Wales in terms of protecting the trees from being bulldozed. It requires farmers or developers to get approval from councils if it's within maybe the dozen council areas where there are requirements under a koala plan of management. I think the bigger issue is, though, that this is created underneath the Planning Act, whereas really vegetation management in koalas should be better dealt with underneath other laws like native vegetation laws. So I would hope through this win for koalas that we have a broader discussion in the New South Wales Parliament and all leaders and all parties agree we need to change our deforestation laws to make sure we can, in fact, double koalas by 2050, which has now been championed by several senior New South Wales government politicians.
And just to put it into perspective, how low are koala numbers?
Well, no one exactly knows. Koalas are very difficult to monitor. We're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars, along with many other government and non-government groups and scientists trying to do the same thing. There are estimates as low as 8,000 in New South Wales, and the highest I've seen recently would probably be 25,000. So the numbers are falling. I guess the trend in the population is really more relevant than exactly how many koalas there are. There is some very good mapping by the New South Wales government, led by Matt Keane, the New South Wales Environment Minister and his agency, and Rob Stokes, the Planning Minister. It identifies what are called koala hubs or areas of regional significance. It's very good data. It was produced last year. We support that. But it still doesn't tell us exactly how many koala numbers there are. What we do know is talking to lots and lots of people across the state, same in Queensland, is that nearly all koala populations are declining. They're not increasing. And that's the worry because you might start with a population of 1,000 animals, but in 10, 20 years' time, it might be down to 300 or 500, particularly if there's a very big fire. You know, we lost well over 6,000 koalas in New South Wales just in the last year because of the bushfires. Yeah. And the drought have also killed thousands. So they're in real trouble.
And I guess, the argument from the other side is that these regulations effectively mean that farmers have to jump through hoops or more hoops if they do want to clear land. Is there any way to find a happy medium to, I guess, save koalas from extinction, but also, spare farmers this red tape?
Well, we need a middle ground that provides a secure future for koalas, and we don't have it at the moment. I'm from a farming background. I've dealt a lot with the farmers who want koalas on their land. I think it's wrong to say that, the majority of farmers don't care about koalas and they just want to bulldoze their trees. I think there are some areas of common interest between farmers and beef producers and conservation scientists and environment groups. The mapping produced by the New South Wales government, mapping is never perfect. And so there will be always arguments that some area was mapped as core koala habitat, but when you go there on the ground, it's a paddock of wheat or something that is not koala habitat. We need better mapping, and we can always come together to find better mapping. I think what we need is we don't reward farmers and rural communities who look after koalas in their forest with money. It's not compensation for not clearing trees. It's recognising doing the right thing by koalas and our forests in general, and to be providing money, say, through grants to improve koala habitat in exchange for a transition, say, over the next 5 to 10 years, out of major deforestation. We need to provide certainty both for koalas and rural communities. We can't do that while we don't have policy stability. One government gets in and weakens laws, another government gets in and strengthens them.
Yeah.
We need policy certainty about the future of koalas in rural Australia on the East Coast. Otherwise, we will lose koalas. They're heading towards extinction, and I would love to sit down with more farming groups and beef groups and say, what's the common ground that plans to keep people in the bush earning a decent income, creating jobs, particularly in this COVID environment, and that we can see more koalas in the future, not just see them in zoos or souvenir shops.
And have you been surprised how this has all unfolded here in New South Wales in the last 24 hours? Or has it, I guess, brought a light to the issue, or perhaps people weren't as aware of what's actually going on with koalas in the state?
Well, there's certainly been battles within the New South Wales government on things like land clearing and koalas for 6 or 12 months. We're very aware of that. It seems like something went into the water this week, Danica, and everyone went a bit crazy in state parliament. I think it's a great win for koalas. I would hope that all parties, particularly rural parties, see that you can no longer get away with trying to kill animals, our native animals like koalas. When did a koala ever hurt anybody in Australia? So they are a great tourism driver and a mark of how well we look after the land. I love it when farmers say we're the best conservationists. Great. Well, let's work together to save koalas. And I hope we never have a koala war again. But what people are trying to do is outbid each other how to do more to save koalas. And that's the argument that I want to be in. That's the discussion I want to be in. At the moment, though, our land clearing rates in New South Wales are going like that over recent years, and there's no end in sight. And that's all legal. That's the New South Wales and the federal governments allow it. So from, essentially the Federal Environment Minister, Susan Lee, she's got a key role to play, down to state premiers and ministers. Yeah. We need a peace plan with koalas in the bush.
Well, it'll be interesting to see how this one plays out. It's not going away anytime soon. Stuart Blanch, appreciate your time. Thank you for joining me.
Thanks, Danica.